Now, this next section is all about the method of how he walks Berlanga down, but any of his oppositions. But before I go, you got to give me 30 seconds for our sponsor and hold your horses. We'll be right back.
Calling all fight fans. Ever dreamed of shaping the future of boxing? Starting your own pro-am boxing program is easier than ever. Your ticket to the big leagues. This is your chance to step into the ring of opportunity. Don't let this moment slip away. Make your mark on the boxing world and turn your town into a powerhouse of pugilistic talent. Bells ringing. Are you ready?
This is the secrets behind the method that Canelo Alvarez walks you down. See, the method that he uses, most people don't understand, but a couple of decades ago, I was introduced to something that was really known well in the streets of Philly. And one of these techniques we talk about when you walk a fighter down is in the mud. We talk about people who get into the grind of fighting. You go back to the days of Muhammad Cowie, Dwight Braxton. You can pull him up fighting against Evander Holyfield in his prime. I'm talking about 6'2.5", long cut, shredded, 175 version of Evander Holyfield. This dude was fighting against Dwight Muhammad Cowie, 5'6", and he was a bowling ball. That's why they call him the Camden Buzzsaw. He understood how to take away techniques of old, like those guys back in the day, like Jersey Joe Walcott was known for his glide across the ring, setting you up. You can go back to the days of him going up against Ezra Charles, and when he walked across the ring and turned his lights out. That actual proceeding process in which he walked him down and closed that gap was called the grunt walk, later titled by Eric A. Bradley, due to the fact that over the course of 100 years of fighting, the technique had gone on to overtake some of the greatest fighters. And I'm talking about level A plus fighters got knocked out being pressured this way. So when you look at the White Cowie and Jersey Joe Walcott, James Lights Out Tony, people who used this method were actually physical monsters. They understood how to implement their pressure by walking you down. And Canelo does exactly that. He's adding those techniques. And when you implement the grunt walk, is after your opposition has thrown the bevy of their punches, and then that's when you proceed going left, right, boom. We call it the grunt walk. And what people don't know is it's in our Peekaboo program, and it's also in the Philly Shell, because it's methods in which you want to get to the guy and break his willpower. That's why you walk a guy down. So when he was fighting against Berlango, that's exactly what you saw. See, everything has context around it, and hence is why you got to know someone that knows boxing from an actual textbook manner, because you start to see the fight different because you understand what you're looking at. And that's exactly what Canelo does. So this 3-minute segment is almost up, but with it, when it's all said and done, that kind of pressure, it stays on a fighter like Berlanga, and he cannot figure out how to get that pressure off of him, because the grunt walk is boom, 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 boom. You're throwing on, the next thing you know, he's rolling on top of you. And those techniques are, we teach you once you get into the professional training programs, because you don't need to be doing that in the amateurs. You don't need to be doing that at the beginning. You need to do that when you develop your craft in boxing. So that's where you learn to implement those kind of techniques. And that's when they're going to come into play. When you're fighting somebody like a Berlango, somebody who can punch, somebody who has a hard head, and somebody who's just totally stubborn in that ring. You break them down, you break their will, and next thing you know, you're setting out to kill. That's a beautiful thing. So that's what we do. We leaving the grunt walk right there. That's the method that Canelo utilizes to walk him down. and he does it good. The only thing I would suggest is that he actually learns how to get on top of what we call the bulldog, and we'll talk about that on a later show. But the next thing that we got to get into is what does he do to hypnotize him? But before we do that, we got to have another 15-second word from our sponsor. So hold your horses, get your pens out, because you're gonna want to know exactly how these guys operate at this level, and they know exactly how to hypnotize these fighters when they're coming up in the rankings. Let's go.
Calling all fight fans. Ever dreamed of shaping the future of boxing? Starting your own pro-am boxing program is easier than ever. Your ticket to the big leagues. Make your mark on the boxing world and turn your town into a powerhouse of pugilistic talent. Bells ringing. Are you ready?
Ding. So when you want to hypnotize somebody in boxing, one of the things that you have to do is you have to do predictability, things that are predictable.